Hi Bold Bakers! We all love red velvet cake, but did you know you can actually have velvet cakes in different colours? Today we are making a white velvet cake with strawberry buttercream frosting and chocolate butterflies. It looks complicated, but it is so easy. So let's get baking. White velvet cake and red velvet cake are similar in texture. They're both lovely and moist, however very different in flavour. Red velvet has cocoa and cinnamon and vanilla, whereas white velvet has almond and vanilla. It's a really lovely white cake and can be used for any occasion. So we're going to start out by making our cake. Now you'll be glad to know that there is no special equipment needed. It can all be mixed by hand. Those are the kind of cakes that I like. Into a sieve we're going to add all our dry ingredients. Our flour, sugar, baking powder, baking soda and salt. And then sift them all together. It's good to sift the ingredients because it gets air into your flour and into your sugar. I'm using cake flour in this recipe, which makes cakes really moist, but don't worry if you can't buy it in your country. I have a recipe of how to make it, and all it is flour and cornstarch. So these are our dry ingredients. We're going to set these to one side and mix together our wet ingredients. Into a separate jug, we're going to add in some buttermilk. Buttermilk is so great in cakes. It gives it really good texture, makes them really moist. If you don't have it, do not worry. I've got a substitute of how you can make it in my Bold Baking Basics. Our next ingredient is an oil. Now you can use vegetable oil, canola oil, even coconut oil. That will work really well. Next into the jug are egg whites. Now this will make your cake really nice and white. With your leftover egg yolks, you can put them into a custard, quiche. Make sure you don't waste them. This next ingredient is what's going to give this cake a really unique flavour, and that is almond extract. Now I made this almond extract and it's really easy. I have the recipe on biggerbolderbaking.com along with all of my other recipes. I really suggest you try and make it. Otherwise you can buy some, and if you really don't want to use it, you can leave it out. As well as the almond, I'm also adding in my homemade vanilla extract. And then with a fork or with a whisk, just mix all of these together really well. Now if you want to make this lovely cake without using eggs, I'm going to send you over to my egg substitute chart and you can see what you can use instead of eggs in a cake. Okay, we've got our wet ingredients, we've got our dry ingredients, and then we're going to put one into the other. Now you know my rules about mixing cakes. Mix as little as you can. You don't want to toughen up the gluten in the flour, so just bring your cake together. That's all you want. And you know what else? A few lumps and bumps in there, they're totally grand. Okay, so that's our cake batter mixed up, no fuss at all. Now it's time to pour it into our tins. So for the tins for the cakes, I'm going to use 3 6-inch tins. I like to use 6-inch tins and a lot of them, so I get a really high impressive cake. However, you can use 2 8-inch tins or 2 9-inch tins. That is totally fine. This is going to be a big cake regardless. And also what you want to do is butter and line your tins just for easy release of your cake. Divvy up your cake batter between your tins as evenly as you can. And if you need cake tins, I have a link on my website of where you can buy these. So I put my cake tins on a baking tray and these little guys are ready for the oven. We're going to bake these off at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. Your bake time may vary depending on what size cake tin you used. So while our cakes are in the oven, we're going to sort out our frosting. Now what I have here is a big bowl of buttercream frosting. Now this was my Bold Baking Basics video the other day. In that video I gave you great tips on how to have successful buttercream. A lot of people have issues with it, so did I for the longest time, but if you follow my tips, I guarantee you, you will always have great buttercream frosting from here on in. So just so you know, you can flavour buttercream frosting any flavour you like. We are going to flavour this one strawberry. So I have some strawberry puree here and I'm just going to pour it in and mix it the whole way through the buttercream frosting. Now the thing about it is, this is bigger bolder baking. It's not boring beige baking. So like make everything colourful, full of flavour, and you will wow people with your desserts. Also, if you feel like you want the frosting to be a little bit punchier with its colour, you can always add in a little bit of food dye. I wish you guys could smell this. It smells fantastic because it's summertime and the strawberries are so good. Now you can make your frosting up to 2 days in advance before you bake off your cake, so you have everything ready to go. I'm going to pop this into the fridge right now, let it set up and get it ready to ice our cake. Our timer's gone off and our cakes are done. These cakes look beautiful. You can see they're all lovely golden brown on top. They've pulled away from the edge of the tin, which means that they're done. And another way to tell is if you push in the middle, it's nice and firm. So our cakes are out of the tins and they're nice and cold. Now when decorating a cake, a great tip is to make your cake the day before because it is much easier to decorate and it's less crummy, so it stays nice and clean. Also, your cakes at this stage can actually go into the freezer for up to 4 weeks really well wrapped, and then take them out whenever you want them. Now just before we put our buttercream on, I want to make sure that our cakes are level. So if you see a little bit of a knobbly bit, just get a serrated knife and then just try and make it nice and straight. As you can see, my cakes are kind of knobbly. That's okay, I'm going to cover it with frosting, you won't know. Okay, so my knobbly bits are taken off. They're pretty even. So now we're going to assemble our cake. So pick one of your layers of your cakes and then we're going to take him, we are going to turn him upside down so you get a lovely flat bottom to start to decorate. And this will just make sure that your cake will stay nice and even as you decorate. For easy decorating for me, I like to do my cake on a little cake turntable. They're really cheap and I'll put a link on my website. It just makes your life so much easier. Put a big dollop of frosting on the top of your cake and spread it around as evenly as you can. Take our next cake layer, lay that on top, a dollop of frosting on top of that. So just before we put on our last layer of cake, we're going to do the same thing for the bottom as we're going to do for the top, which is turn him over. So no matter what lumps or bumps are happening underneath, at least your top layer will be lovely and flat. So just take a quick look at your cake, check that it's even, it's nice and straight, as even as it can be. And now we're going to start doing our crumb layer, which all this is covering the cake in a thin layer of frosting. We're going to bring it down the sides. And what we're going to do is catch all the loose crumbs, any bits and pieces. This is just the first layer of frosting. Then we're going to chill it and then put on a brand new one. And by the time we're finished, it's going to look gorgeous. And that is your crumb layer. We are going to pop this in the fridge for around half an hour, let that crumb layer go hard, and then we're going to ice on top of it again. My cake has been in the fridge for over 30 minutes. My crumb layer is nice and set. If your frosting needs longer to set, then just leave it in there for as long as you need. Now we're just going to finish off frosting our cake. So a nice big dollop of frosting on top. Put a lot on top because what we're going to do is slowly, very gently move it down the sides of the cake. See? We will start to work with it from there. To do the sides, put your palette knife straight up against the edge of the cake and run it around and try and give yourself lovely smooth edges. Now that's my cake frosted. Now you're probably thinking that doesn't look perfect, but you know what will make it look perfect? I like to take a little spoon and just maybe dip him in some hot water, get him nice and warm, dry him off, and then very gently and swiftly run him along the edges of your cake, going towards the top of the cake. And as you can see, there's this lovely indentation that it makes, and it just gives your cake a really lovely look. Take the spoon and then do the very same thing on the top of the cake, working from the inside out. It is such a simple technique to use. It gives a lovely result and all you need is the spoon. Now this cake looks beautiful just as it is, but to really send it over the edge, I am going to top it with some of my chocolate butterflies. I made these in a Bold Baking Basics video. They are incredibly easy and they transform a cake. Oh my gosh, just look at how beautiful the butterflies are, the color. This looks like it's from a professional bakery and I am telling you, you can make it at home too. I really hope my bold bakers go all out and try this cake for themselves. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. And I'll see you back here next week for more bigger, bolder baking. That's great, doesn't it?